Welcome to yet another installment of Requiem for London. Tonight and in the recent past have come to bear serious drama and sadness and passing of those who are supposed to be eternal. And no one knows this more than Alan Falls and Adriana Abruzzo of the Clan of Shadows, the Clan of the Watchers. Adriana has done enough watching for the night. She is actually holed up in one of the Chimera security offices. It is rather late. Her coworkers are not there. And she has sent a message to Alan Falls to meet her, as she wants to tell him something she considers as rather important in case he has not considered it himself. So she waits.
Alan, states that he'll be right there and will arrive shortly. He's been meaning to speak to Adriana for a while, for more reasons than perhaps he'd like to admit. But this evening, he's there just to hear what she has to say and perhaps to give him some perspective on what the hell just happened a night ago. And he arrives in whatever room you're residing in, your office, maybe?
Yes, Adriana is waiting for Alan in her office, and she sits with her back to her computer as she watches the door, waiting for Alan to make his entry. And as he does, she waves him in and has him take a seat at one of her coworker stations. They are the only ones in the area at the moment. There are security cameras, of course, fixed on the area, and she will actually, once he walks over, she will get up and guide him over to a conference room where they can have a seat where there are not security cameras fixed on them. And as they walk in, Adriana will remove her sunglasses, and again, you still see the pretty badly scarred side of her left face, parts of McGee that will never leave her. And she tells him to take a seat in the conference room, and she doesn't say anything. She just kind of looks at him.
Yeah. Hey. How are you holding up? I know you called me because you had something you wanted to talk about. I suppose that makes two of us.
Adriana looks up at him and says, "Hey, indeed." And she kind of takes her knuckles and cracks them a little bit. She looks down at her fingers, and she doesn't really want to lie to him, but she's a little concerned about letting him know, exactly where she's been the last night. And she says, "Well, first of all, I just wanted to say good work back there. Seems like you saved a few hides."
A bit surprised by that. Well.
And we can wait with some fine elevator music. Do 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 do, progressive jazz. Do 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 do. Oh, and we're back.
Jazz stops. Yeah, Alan looks a bit surprised by that and says, "How?"
Adriana smirks as he kind of looks at her and is stumbling over his words, and she goes, "Alan, what do we do for a living? What do we do as a clan?"
God, you were there, weren't you?
Yes, I was there. And she looks down and she says, "Honestly, I didn't want to go, but I was asked to be there by a third party. And I was advised to just watch, especially after Mr. Callahan unfortunately got in the mix, which was apparently unforeseen. How is he? Has anyone heard?
If I recall correctly, we were all taken back to our respective superiors and covenants, so I suspect he's fine.
She purses her lips and again and she drums her fingers on the table a little bit. She looks agitated. She says, you know, despite everything, I really hoped it wouldn't have come to that. I know what he did to me was horrific, but there's just more at play here than you know, than we all know.
There always seems to be. But McGee died the moment that hunt was called on him. It was only going to be a matter of time.
That's true. I just... He's not the man he was, Alan. You know, I wish you could have known him even several months ago. I worked with him on something for the sheriff, which ironically was the first time we met Mr. Callahan. And she kind of gives him a very brief smile. And she says, I just wanted to tell you because I am not comfortable with the situation. I'm concerned that even though the hunt is done, someone may still try and come after me and possibly you. If it's known you were part of the hunt and helped take him down, Alan, that's dangerous for you.
The fun never stops, does it?
She leans back and crosses her arms and says, you're supposed to be an operative, aren't you? I mean, how do your superiors feel about this? They can't be happy.
I don't know. In my, well, I suppose you could call it debriefing, people seem rather pleased with me. I suppose your dad's going to be hearing a lot about me. I mean, with what happened before and what happened now, I guess I popped up a bit more than either of us would be expecting.
She takes a sharp inhale and says, Alan, I will tell you this and take it to heart. If you never hear from the sheriff, if you never see him, assume that you're doing okay. The moment he shows up is when you should worry and perhaps run.
I'll keep that in mind. Apparently, I should consider a career in law enforcement. I had no idea. Who knows? That might be my true calling in life.
I suppose the sheriff could always use more hounds. Be safer for you. Different killing just you, killing one of the sheriff's hounds. That's a blood hunt for sure. And she smiles.
Well, I'm certainly good at sniffing people out, it seems.
Just be careful. Watch your back. She says, I know Emma likes to go to the Brixton, likes to spend her time with members of covenants other than her own, but you must mind yourself.
Yeah, you sent me a message about her, right?
Oh, yes.
Well, I suppose we're both on the same wavelength.
I just don't necessarily trust those who can reach into your mind and scramble it. I don't know that I would want to be alone in a room with her. It's always good to meet with those, at least one on two, if you know what I mean.
Makes sense. I mean, the saying goes, it's not the man with the biggest stick that counts. It's well, it's who's wielding it. I feel like
Exactly.
she's a bit of a time bomb, to be honest. If you were there, you sort of just had that. You just what she was. If she took Jack, we would have all died.
I'm not sure what her motives are, and I guess that's the question mark. I don't really have the inclination to follow her around and find out. The Sanctum's business is its own, and frankly, they are the least of my concerns at the moment.
She's either trying to do the right thing and not thinking it through, or she was just trying to get her covenant, well, her and her covenant made out of the line of fire, so that, well, they'd be the only survivors to tell the tale. Either way, doesn't help me out.
Were
I'd
they
be
all
dead.
Sanctum? Most of them?
I don't. I remember there was someone. McGee was talking about someone he killed. I don't know if he was Sanctum though.
Yes, I think he may have been.
Oh
But
god.
oh, she puts her head in her hands and she said, "Alan, McGee fed this person's heart to Jack,
What?
shoved it into his mouth. It was horrible. I guess that was before you got there. I'd been outside for quite some time." And she looks over to the wall as if it's an image she doesn't want to relive.
Words composure. Okay, he does succeed. Shit.
Do you say shit?
Yeah, he looks down. Something. He's contemplating something. Um, something
She
just popped
looks
into his head.
she looks at him and she says, "What? What could be worse than that? What's wrong?"
So he was force fed this, right?
It appeared to be. I had messaged the sheriff what was going on, and he told me to stay out of it. And
Yeah.
that given what McGee had done to me in the past, I listened. If that makes me a coward, so be it.
No, he should have stayed out of that. They. McGee was so far gone. He tried to. I suppose we're jumping a few minutes forward, but he was. Eh. Yeah, he pauses for a second, and then he regains his composure because he succeeded.
Yes, he did.
He says, "If you were there, then you should know that Mickey was trying to diabolise Z, right?"
She sits back in her chair and looks at him and she says, "You know, I've heard of that, but no one really talks about it. Do you really think McGee was trying to do that? He was that depraved?"
I don't know what to think of him anymore. He was, when I met him, He seemed amicable, but then he just killed 3, 4 people without care. That was my
Well,
first meeting with him.
he
And with the hunt, maybe he just lost himself.
She thinks for a moment, and she says the priest who Jack was trying to protect, do you think McGee did the same to the priest? Because he turned to ash so quickly.
It would not have surprised me if he did, to be honest. He looks so far gone, even as brutal as he was when I met him. He wasn't the same person.
You
Jack was
know,
all he had left.
she says, Jack came to me a month and a half or so ago and wanted to know about his sire. And at that time, I knew McGee was his sire, but I didn't tell him because I wanted McGee to tell him. How that all happened, I'm not really sure. But McGee said he would talk to him. But then,
He found out like that.
you know the rest.
Poor bastard.
I think that's why McGee did what he did to him, and he went limp after that, so God knows. Poor guy.
Well, I suppose me threatening to kill him wouldn't have helped. I'm glad he was asleep for that. Then again, I guess it's a bit strange that threatening to kill someone saves their life.
Adriana looks at Alan, and she says, would you have killed him if you had to?
And the hesitation almost speaks for itself, but he will speak up.
If he hesitates, you don't have to roll for it. Adriana will just put her hand up and say, you know what, don't answer that. It's not my business.
I couldn't bluff with McGee. If he even caught the slightest scent. I had to. As much as an excuse as that sounds, I have to pick whatever gives me the highest chance of success. Even if it means being a hypocrite.
You're not a hypocrite if you make it to the next night, Alan. That's what family has told me before. I suspect he's right. McGee didn't, you did. End of story.
I wonder how the hell people are going to react to this. He just looks down.
She shrugs, and she says, I think they will seek to forget it in their minds, but in their hearts, someone will be looking for payback. It'll never be over for me. Never.
Well, if things are going the way I think they're going, I'm pretty sure my ship has sailed too on that. So at least you'll have company on the way.
She reaches into her bag as they're talking and pulls out a piece of paper, and she writes down a phone number on it. And she says, first of all, I think you should ask to join the Hounds. And I'm being selfish here because I know that the sheriff looks for very specific types of people, but you would be better protected if you were associated with him. And under these circumstances, I would hate for 6 or 7 Carthians to follow you home to your haven and take your head. You understand?
Yeah, I'm fairly certain that would suck for me.
And she hands him the piece of paper, and she says, that's the phone number of a mutual friend. Her name is Nora. She's an artist. Now, she is one of Mr. Graves's apprentices. However they work things in that ridiculous little shop of his. But if you are looking for a safe place, if you find yourself stranded, you may strike a bargain with her. She loves to make deals. And who knows, she may need a spy or two.
Information is always in short supply with everyone. At least it keeps me in business.
That's what we do, Alan. Never forget that.
Well, I suppose if I learned anything, it's that... Well, I suppose I already knew this. But information's a dangerous thing.
It is. In fact, everything we've seen, I would probably keep it to ourselves. The last thing elders want is that we may know more about something than they do. It scares the hell out of them.
Alan just has a comical whoops face.
Okay, does Adriana catch that?
It's pretty obvious. It's comical.
Okay.
It's almost like he's playing it up almost because.
And she'll look at him and she'll say, Alan, what aren't you telling me?
A lot of ships are sell for me.
And she folds her arms and says, well, do you want to tell me about it, or do you just want to sit there and look like you just sat on your face?
There are 2 things I kind of need to tell you. Well, one is I was talking to my I was talking to my superiors about maybe the well, I mentioned them by name. That scared them.
Oh, I'm sorry. Say that again. You cut out a little bit.
Oh.
You mentioned who?
I mentioned them by name. Pretty sure I wasn't supposed to do that. I think that scared the hell out of them.
Mentioned who by name? I'm sorry, that's where it cut out.
Oh. Alan's not sure whether he should actually say it because it's been kind of not dominated into him, but drilled into him that this is a bad word. Then again, you know it, so he hesitates a second, and then he's like, He looks around for a quick moment. He kind of whispers the Strix.
Oh. And her jaw tenses, and she looks down and she says, well, we were in the presence of someone more superior than we were when that subject came up. I hope you told them that.
Oh yeah, they know. I'm really, really, really looking forward to that.
Of course they're scared. If they can do what they can to us, what would stop them from doing it to them? Why do you think Graves hides in a basement?
Of those little contraptions.
Exactly. What else?
Well, what are you, my big sister now? Jesus Christ.
You're the one who came when I called, Alan. You didn't have to.
Fine, but you're buying me an ice cream after this. Oh, you're gonna hate this one. Well, it should be fun at least. I got a message. Well, it was all on the down low. The person sending this to me was trying to be subtle. I guess it was to most people, but damn, I spotted it out easily enough. His name begins with an M. Guess he wants to go see me. Fuck.
As he's going through this, not wanting to say the name, you see, Adriana's fingers kind of tense and curl into a ball. And she says, I don't think I would do that if I were you, Alan. Go alone? No.
Me, neither. Apparently arrangements have already been made. I have no idea what the fuck that's supposed to mean. Literally everyone is telling me to stay away from this guy whenever his name gets brought up. I think I'll heed that advice.
She thinks for a moment. And she knows there's a lot she can tell him, but she doesn't want to overwhelm him. I will give you some advice, Alan, and it would be what tipped me off that someone had reached inside my head and messed with it. There's a method, and you must follow it. And once you do, you'll understand. So even if you can't prevent someone from doing something to you, you will at least know afterwards that it has been done. Do you understand?
He just sighs and just looks at you.
If he is hell-bent on meeting you, Alan, he will. He's God for all we know.
Yeah, I get that impression from a lot of people.
She takes out her laptop and she opens it. And she opens a program. And she says, you can set an alarm every night, every morning. You can also trip it if you think you're in trouble, which will set something to happen. Do you have cameras where you are, where you keep haven?
I do.
I had similar setup in my old haven that had me on camera one night going out to meet someone who was a subordinate of Mr. Mays, and I had no memory of the meeting. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yeah, I think I do.
If I were you, I would set up a similar failsafe. Because if his eyes are on you, I don't see a way you can avoid it unless you leave the city. Just make it to the next night, Alan. That's all you have to do. Because one night you will be there and he won't be.
Well, I'd certainly hate to disappoint.
And she'll snap her laptop shut. And she says, I'm not giving away all my secrets for free. I'm just giving you tips to help make it to the next night. I have different fail-safes in place now. Ones that are hopefully better than that, but the cameras, the recording devices never lie, and sometimes elders forget that. They come from a world where they didn't use them. We use them. Use that to your advantage.
Clever girl. And then he just looks around as if he's expecting to be jumped on by a velociraptor.
She smiles and she gets up and she says, "Come on, Alan. If I was coming for you, do you think you would see me coming?"
I don't know. I have a whole mystic sight thing too. Maybe I get lucky.
Lucky is a matter of speaking. If you hear about Mr. Callahan, please tell me. I'd like to talk to him, make sure he's all right.
Yeah.
But if you see him, go easy on him. He's lost everything.
Yeah, well... He looks like he's thinking about something really hard.
Once again, before she leaves, she'll say, "What about Jack is bothering you? Because I can see when I bring up his name, you again look like you've sat on your own face. You're not good at hiding your emotions, Alan. You need to fix that."
No, I'm not really trying to, I guess, which I suppose makes my hesitation pointless. Yeah, I kind of promised I'd keep him out of trouble.
Oh, that's right, you did. Keep him out of trouble. See if you can, but these gangrel, if they fall to the beast, they seem to do it quicker than the rest.
Christ, me trying to keep him out of trouble? Okay, bit of a do as I say, not as I do situation. I'll see if I can hold myself to that promise. I mean, I'm not exactly going to be a stepdad or anything. But...
No, but you can get between him and the dancing girl. She will most certainly cause him more trouble than he needs.
Everyone she seems to talk to gets in trouble. I mean, I kind of cause it for myself, so I'm a bit of an unfair example. But I usually handle the situation better than most.
She sighs and tells Alan, "I'm afraid I have to go, but remember what we discussed about your own personal safety. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow night." And she smiles.
Yeah. See you tomorrow.
And with that, she will put her glasses back on. I can't find them, so I'm not going to putz around for them. She puts her glasses back on and leaves and heads out into the building and disappears. And perhaps Alan has last thoughts.
Fucking big sisters, man. He just kind of shakes his head and just strides out of the building.
And thank you for watching. Have a glorious evening.